Are you still going to show up when it's not easy? Are you still going to show up when it's not convenient? Are you going to do what you need to do to get better, to move the chains, even when it isn't easy or convenient? Hello and welcome to the Move the Chains podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Muncie. Thank you for being here. As an entrepreneur, best-selling author, keynote speaker, performance coach, I help athletes, executives, entrepreneurs, and leaders around the world take the next steps towards success. Look, everybody needs a big goal, but unless you break that down into actionable steps and follow through, implement the things that you need to do to move forward, you're going to get overwhelmed and you're going to fall short. Breaking those big goals, first of all, seeing and outlining the vision, breaking that down into goals and actionable steps is what I help people do. It's all about consistency. It's all about showing up every single day, moving the chains. And that's what we're talking about here on the Move the Chains podcast. Every week, I'm going to give you some of the best and most proven strategies and tips to help you do exactly that. And sometimes, like this week, it's just going to be me, and I'm going to share some insights from my experiences, from coaching clients, and some of the people that I've had the privilege to work with and learn from. Other weeks, we're going to have amazing world-class athletes, leaders, friends, whatever, as guests to help share what has worked for them. Like I said, this week, it's just me. And before we get into the things that I do want to talk about this week, we've got a couple of kind of housekeeping notes, some announcements. Number one, thank you for listening. This is maybe episode 10 or 11 of the bringing back the podcast. And if you're a new listener, I'm really glad that you're here. If you are somebody that has listened to previous versions of the show, I appreciate you still being here after a 2-year hiatus. Gotten a lot of great messages. Feels good to be back, and I love the support. Thank you guys for listening, and thank you for reaching out. On that note, if you have guest suggestions, let me know. I'd love to hear who you want to hear from on the podcast. And if you have questions, send them in. We will do some Q&A episodes. I'll work a few of those in here on this episode. If you've got questions for specific guests, I will start posting who's coming on the show on Instagram. Keep an eye on my stories, and I'll ask for you to ask or send me questions that we can ask the guests. We'll really start to build this thing and make it as valuable for you as possible. Let's see. What else do we want to talk about before we get into I want to thank our first sponsor, Melon. Melon makes the best hats in the world, most premium headwear in the world. And we've got a code that you can use. It is in the description of every podcast. If you're a first-time buyer from Melon, you can save 10% on your first purchase at melon.com. The code is Move the Chains 10. It's in the description. And let's get into what I want to talk about today. Maybe 4 or 5 little topics. First one is this concept of wedges. A wedge is a tool, any type of tool that you can use to separate stimulus from response, right? Most of the time when people get into trouble in their response, their reaction, communications, you get into an argument or something escalates with a coworker or a spouse, a lot of times things that do escalate because we fail to put space between the stimulus and the response, which then allows us to respond in the way that we want to, right? How many times have you said, oh, I didn't handle that the way I wanted to, or the way I would have liked to, or I could have handled that better? A wedge is a tool to help you buy more time, even a split second, so that you can handle it better the first time through. Again, what this really does is it buys you time and space. And in that fraction of a second, I want you to ask yourself this question. How could I handle this? Or what do I need to do that would best facilitate my or the desired outcome? And then we reverse engineer it from there, right? So again, if you're talking to your spouse, you know that there is, or your children, you know that there's a way to have that conversation that's going to go off the rails in a hurry, right? That's not the way that we want to have it. If we want to get to the desired outcome, right? And another way of thinking about this is, what's more important, winning the argument or preserving the relationship or the friendship? The wedge could be any number of tools. It could be breath work. It could be visualization. It could be questions like I just threw out there, and I'll give you a few more of these in a few minutes. But again, it's something that buys us time. And the more we do this, the more we rewire our brains and we become less of a reactive person. Now, I'm going to go off on a little tangent here and talk about rewiring and behaviors, right? Because what we're talking about here is changing a pattern of behavior, right? And if you've ever heard me say this, I apologize, but I'm going to have to say it again. The phrase muscle memory is like nails on a chalkboard to me. Muscles do not have the capacity for memory. Anything that you think of as muscle memory is actually neurological wiring. Whether that's a golf swing, a tennis serve, riding a bike, drawing a pistol, anything that you think of as muscle memory is neurological wiring. The more we do something, the more we swing a golf club, whatever action you want to think about, the neurons involved in that process fire together, they wire together, and we basically go from an untrod trail through the woods. The more we do it, the more we do it, the more we do it, we wear a path. And then all of a sudden, after 10 years of doing it, it looks like the Appalachian Trail. And there's a very clear, very definitive path. This is the way that it goes, right? And I say 10 years on purpose because if you're 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, however old you are, that's how many years you have of repeating certain behaviors or responding in certain ways to external stimuli. Anytime we change a physical movement, if I change the way you shoot a free throw, if I change the way you swing a golf club, you're going to understand and expect that there's a learning curve, that there's going to be a period of time where you're sort of between the old way and the new way. Most people understand without even having to be told that it's going to take more repetitions in the new way than we have accumulated up till this point of the old way for that new way to become the way. I know the word way is in there a lot, but I think you're following what I'm saying. So we go out on the range and I change Tiger Woods' golf swing on a Saturday, and he goes Sunday and plays 18 holes. And on the second tee box, he blocks one right out of bounds because he has some sort of a swing that is not the old way and it's not yet the new way, and it's something in the middle. And he and you, with whatever physical thing you may have changed up in your past, you've got experience with this. You kind of understand, okay, I know what happened, right? I did this thing that was kind of not one, not the other, wasn't what I'm working towards, but I understand this process, right? We have a little bit more patience and more grace with ourselves when we change a physical movement pattern than when we change a behavior pattern, right? How many times have you tried to change a behavior pattern, and when you don't get it right on the first time, you start this internal dialogue of, man, I'm a piece of shit. Man, I suck. Why can't I do this? I suck at this. I'm not meant to blah, 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 right? Dude, it's one repetition, and you've done it how many years? 20, 30, 40, 50 years of doing it the other way, and you expect to nail it on the first one? No, it doesn't work that way. So have the same patience and grace with yourself when you change a behavior pattern that you would when you change a physical movement pattern, right? And so now bringing this all the way back to utilizing wedges, not on the golf course, but as this thing to buy time between stimulus and response, the more we do this, the more we train our brain to override impulse reactions. It becomes a habit. It increases our self-control. We reduce stress. We can strengthen discipline. We start to be a person who does and acts in the moment in the way that is aligned with our values, as opposed to letting our emotional or limbic system lizard brain drive responses that may not be aligned with our values, right? So this is how you can avoid being triggered. This is how you can avoid impulse decisions or impulse reactions, right? And high performers, winners, no, it's not about how you feel in the moment, right? Maybe you want to punch that guy back. Maybe you want to flick the guy off in traffic or honk your horn, right? Those are the traffic examples are prime opportunities to treat this like training and exercise, employing a wedge to buy time between stimulus and response. You know what? I don't have to flick that guy off. I might want to, and it might feel better, but what's it going to accomplish? Is it actually going to make anything better? So that's wedges. And I want to roll that right into, I told you I'd give you a couple other questions that I really love. One of my favorite questions is, what would Kobe Bryant do? And as I thought about teaching this and sharing this, I realized that it sounds a lot like, what would Jesus do? And that wasn't my initial intention, although you could certainly use the original WWJD, or you could insert whoever you look up to in any particular arena. And so for me, when it was the original thought here of like, what would Kobe Bryant do? It's, he is well known, widely regarded as, one of the most competitive, hardest working, most mentally tough athletes that ever existed. And he was committed to being the best basketball player possible. He didn't just want to be good. He was committed to being great as he could possibly be. And if that meant, hey, you got to go run 10 miles in 100-degree heat in the desert, he would do it. If that meant getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to the gym before anybody else showed up so he could get his shots in, he would do it. If it meant after a game flying home and instead of going back to his house when the plane landed, he went into the gym to get his shots, he would do that. He did whatever it took to move the chains, to make progress in the things that mattered to him. So the way that we use this question as a tool for ourselves is, if this was important to me, if this was important to Kobe Bryant, how would he handle this? What would he do? You think he's hitting the snooze button at 4 a.m? You think he's skipping a workout, because he just doesn't want to? So I love this question. I think it's a very specific wedge question that helps us shift our perspective, and it reframes the situation. Right? Because now it's not about us. We're going to explore how our favorite high performer might approach the same scenario. You know what needs to be done. You know what you need to do. And so when we ask the question of, well, not just what would Kobe do? Here's another way of thinking about this is, what do I need to do? How do I need to handle this so that in the future, I'm proud of my decision? Or if you're a parent and you have kids, there's nothing you wouldn't do for them, right? If this was my kid calling me at 1 o'clock in the morning and they needed blah, 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 would I do it? You're damn right you would. You'd get out of bed and you'd show up and you'd be there for your kid. Well, are you there for yourself like that? Are you there for your teammates like that? Are you there for your spouse like that? The things that you love, the things that are that important to you, are you going to do whatever it takes? Whether it's easy. So it's easy. Everybody can do it when it's easy or convenient, right? The question is, are you still going to show up when it's not easy? Are you still going to show up when it's not convenient? Are you going to do what you need to do to get better, to move the chains, even when it isn't easy or convenient? I guarantee Kobe Bryant would, or whoever your favorite high performer is, they would. The best parent in the world, they would. The best leader, the leader that you want to be, they would do it. You want to be that? Show me. All right, so take a little break here. That's wedges. That's one of my favorite wedge questions. What would Kobe Bryant do? One other thing I do want to touch on, we'll keep these solo episodes short, but it's this thought that comfort is killing you. Comfort is killing your progress. And I don't mean that in the sense of like, get outside your comfort zone. I don't mean it to be cliche in that sense, although that is true. What I'm referring to is when you see people who have a particular way of doing things, but they're not getting the results that they want. They may come to me or to a coach or to somebody else, and they'll ask a question and say, okay, I'm not happy with my results on XYZ. Okay, here is a potential solution. We could change how you do these things, and you could do things this way. And I promise, or in all likelihood, that will change the results that you're seeing in regards to XYZ. Another way that we always hear this is, well, this is how we've always done things. Cool. How's that working out for you? And I'm not saying that to be a dick. I mean, I kind of am, but I'm also not, right? Think about this as a flow chart. Do you like the results that you're currently getting? If yes, by all means, continue. If you do not like the results that you're currently getting, try something different. Your life is perfectly designed for the results that you are currently getting. So if you're married to a particular way of doing things, intermittent fasting, carnivore, keto, CrossFit, training a particular body part in a certain way, whatever the thing is, right? This is how we run our business, or our homepage looks like this, or whatever. How's that working out for you? Are you happy? Are you satisfied with the results? Would you like to continue to get the same results that you're getting? If yes, continue. If not, what do you have to lose by trying a different way? You already don't like the results that you're getting. Why not test something different on your homepage? Test a different offer, test a different conversion metric, try a different way of eating. Test. Try something different. Test. Use the data. Let the data tell you what works and what doesn't work. Right? So, in a dickish way, but also in a not dickish way, how is that working for you? You like it? Keep it. If you don't like it, don't be afraid to change. Don't let your desire to be comfortable with what you know keep you in this place where you continue to get results that you're not happy with. And that's what I mean when I say comfort is killing you. Comfort is killing your progress. We're going to wrap this one up with those as kind of our topics for today. As I said earlier, in the future when we do these, I'll throw some of your listener questions in. So email me, ryan@ryanmuncy.com with questions. There's a contact me form on my website if you want to do it that way. Shoot me a message on social media, however you want to send in the questions. If we get some good ones, we'll work some of those into these solo episodes. We'll probably do these solo episodes once or twice a month, maybe once a month. We'll see how it goes. And with that said, again, thanks for being here. I'm glad you're here. I'm excited for the conversations and guests that we're going to bring you in the future. We do have some awesome ones lined up. And each week, we're going to bring you tools and tips to move the chains in your day-to-day life with real-world examples from my life, from coaching clients, friends, and other high-performing folks to see how they have their version of move the chains to fuel their successes. So thanks for listening. Make sure you subscribe to the Move the Chains podcast wherever you listen to podcasts so you get notified of new episodes. And if you dig what you're hearing, please leave us a review. Those really do help. And share the episode with your friends. See you next time. Thanks for being here.